Fala, galera, vocês estavam com saudade de mim? Eu não estava, não. Eu me vejo todo dia. Aí é doideira, né? Bora. Bora ver um negócio. Se eu deixar a tela preta, vocês não vão ver o que eu quero ver. Pera aí. Isso aqui, ó. Evil Dia. Stop consuming media in your native language. Para de consumir mídia no seu idioma nativo. Não é ele que tá falando isso. Ele vai falar que é react de outras pessoas.
What's up,
What's up, grinders? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm gonna be react.
grinders? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be reacting to this video titled Don't do this. Now, in the thumbnail, we've got Matt vs. Japan, Matt vs. the world, Matt vs. the universe, I don't know, Matt vs. the fucking cosmic shadows. I actually saw his video's thumbnail before, but I never got around to watching it. I believe it's actually on my watch later. But since Metatron's already done a react to it, I'm kind of curious to see what they've both got to say, because clearly, based on the title, Metatron is in disagreement with what Matt's got to say. So, let's fire off this beast and get started.
Hello, number ones, and welcome to Metatron's Academy. Check this out. Your English, you Muppets, addiction is killing your Japanese, says Matt.
Tá, então a gente vai assistir o react do react do react, tá? Eu reajo ao Evil Dia, vocês reagem a mim, e o Evil Dia reage ao Megatron, e o Megatron reage ao Matt vs. the World.
Matt versus the world. Interesting framing. Let's see what it means. Let's go.
And so I think it can be really helpful to just put your foot down and make the decision, I'm only going to watch Korean content. And if you make that decision, you just put your foot down and decide, it makes it a lot easier to stop doing that comparison. And it's that comparison itself that's causing all of the pain and the emotional turbulence, right? Because if all you do is watch Korean content, then the question stops becoming, is this better than the English content? And it just becomes, is this the best Korean content I could be watching right now? Or is there better Korean content? And
Okay, so basically it sounds like we're going to be moving into AJAT territory, you know, Japanese all the time, which is, if you guys haven't heard about that philosophy, it's been around for a while. It's what Matt originally followed, I believe, before he moved over to different methods. It's basically where you make your entire life about that language. Now, is that a bad thing or a good thing? Well, it really depends on your situation and what you're trying to achieve and in what time frame you're trying to achieve it, and basically, you know, how that's going to impact on you as an individual, but also those around you. So you got to think about that overall.
and either
É porque eu acho que o jeito que esse Matt aí aprendeu japonês foi isso. Ele era mais jovem, então não tinha muitas obrigações para fazer, e ficava trancado no quarto e estudando igual doido, e consumia só conteúdo da língua que ele queria aprender. Raramente ele via alguma coisa fora disso, até o seu idioma natal. Sei lá, mas eu acho que é doideira isso. É muita loucura.
way, you're going to be watching Korean content.
Korean
so even
content.
though I work full time and feel like I have no time to immerse, I find surprisingly that I spend 30 hours per week on YouTube and Instagram alone, according to screen time stats. A lot of passive listening to long form English commentary and doom scrolling.
Man, this is a phenomenal comment to start with. Think about it. I want to take a moment to read it again. Daniel Kim. Oh gosh, as an answer to all the people that say I don't have the time. Oh, I would love to learn this language and get to fluency. I would have done it by now, but I don't have the time. Check this out. Even though I work full time and feel like I have no time to immerse, I find surprisingly that I spend 30 hours per week on YouTube and Instagram alone, according to screen time stats.
Yeah, this is just a lack of prioritization on the part of Daniel Kim here, who's written this, because people have asked me how was I
As pessoas, elas gastam mais tempo em Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, é por causa que o conteúdo é mais fácil. Lógico que você vai gastar mais tempo aqui no telefone scrollando para baixo do que para estudar, para fazer imersão. Mas enfim. Mas aí vem o ponto, se você tem o tempo para fazer isso, para ficar scrollando, você tem o tempo para fazer imersão, tá ligado? Só que um é mais fácil que o outro, porque você pode ficar com o cérebro desligado e ficar só igual um doido recebendo informações idiotas.
able to handle both my Dreaming Spanish series and my LingoPie series, and I'm even playing with an idea of doing another series while working full-time. How is that possible? That's the answer right there. Because if you look into where you spend a lot of your time, you actually find you waste a ton of time, okay? So like this person here, 30 hours per week, that's an insane amount of time you could dedicate to learning a language. The question is, do you actually want to do it? Because it's the same question I posed to myself around...
Eu não gasto 30 horas por semana de aprendizado, não. Pelo menos de inglês, não. De outras coisas pode ser. Tipo assim, somando todos os meus estudos. Mas de inglês, não. Porque se eu faço, sei lá, 30 minutos por dia de inglês, 30, 40, a média, né? Depois eu vou começar a aumentar esse tempo. Não dá. Dá quase nada.
My future fitness journey, which I've spoken about on this channel before. I am currently in the process of slowly
Igual hoje vai ser mais de 1 hora de aprendizado, né? Com a soma ali que eu tô anotando no caderninho aqui.
mentally ramping up to the idea that I'm going to do some type of public challenge in the future. But first I want to read up on everything that would be involved around that. And I know, like, historically, I could have done it at any time. It's just I didn't prioritize it. But I'm going to have to start prioritizing it more. But the point is, if you pick up your phone and you just look at your screen time, I guarantee you guys, most of you guys have burnt a lot of time. You probably lost like 10 hours to just watching my content in the last week. Please don't unsub. I love you guys. You can unsub from everyone else. Delete Instagram. Fuck Instagram. I don't have an Instagram, so you can get rid of that. I approve the removal of Instagram and every other social media account apart from YouTube because it's educational. And I'm an edumacational guy. And I help you with your education. Okay, let's continue.
So, brother, really is a matter of priority, isn't it? I love the beginning of this video already. Because at the end of the day, this is
Porque os youtubers ganham de acordo com a retenção. Então, se essas 30 horas ficar no YouTube do Will Dia, meu filho, por pessoa já era. Dá pra forrar um dinheirinho bom, hein?
real. Every time we say, I don't have the time, it's an excuse and we need to stop saying it. And I myself am guilty of it. I am guilty of it up to not too much. I mean, I don't spend a lot of time on language learning, but recently with a newborn baby, with, all the other things, I passed my US citizenship test. So that required a lot of time to study, of course, and then all the channels that I run. I bet if...
Tá, eu vou encostar minhas costas melhor na cadeira, tá? Parece que eu tô jogado, mas é porque minhas costas dói e eu tenho que ficar nessa posição. Mas não tô jogado, não. Tá dando pra me ouvir perfeitamente.
If I could see this, how many hours per week I spend doing something like doom scrolling. Maybe, doom scroll, I don't do it on Facebook anymore. I stopped. I feel like a former addict.
Yeah, I don't use Facebook either. But I actually do most of my just random English watching as part of these videos. That's when I do it. If I'm not doing this, I'm either doing a language or I'm doing something else, maybe something with a wife, but I'm just not on YouTube. So like everything I watch is pretty much either recommended to me as I sit down and I want to do a react to something, or it's been recommended in the Discord by, you guys, the community. You burn a lot of time when you're just randomly just on YouTube. Again, I should really not be making this video.
Então, algumas vezes qualquer coisa me distrai. Tipo assim, agora eu vou sentar aqui pra começar o meu estudo. Nossa, mas que caneta bacana, que negócio bacana. Nossa, mas que celular bacana, não sei o quê. Tipo assim, qualquer coisa me distrai. Tem dia que é tenso. Aí eu tenho que voltar e começar a correr atrás, porque senão qualquer coisa é interessante, é mais interessante que o estudo.
I'm like convincing all of you guys to just stop using YouTube unless it's in your target language. What's your target language? Is it Esperanto? Mi povas helpi vin. Mi povas paroli Esperante se vi dezirus. Maybe it's Chinese. 我会说中文。我可以现在我们可以讨论什么话题？现在我们讨论最好学习方法，最好学习语言的方法。Fuck man, swapping to English Chinese really did me then. Okay, let's continue.
I stopped. I do it on X, but then again, I post on X and I make money. So that is work. When I scroll through things, I find something, save it for later, and then I post. It's work, I'm making money. I 100% guarantee that there are videos that I watched in English and I could have watched something else in Mandarin. We need to be honest with ourselves. Don't lie to yourself. When you say that you don't have time, you gave time to something else.
Well, apparently this guy is recognizing that they do have time. And I feel like if I wrote this message, I've already answered my own question. Oh, I do have time. I just choose not to utilize this time.
These are mostly subconscious, coping, distracting behaviors that default to English. And unfortunately, the topics I'm interested in are much better in English. Geopolitics, language learning, comedy.
Yeah, okay. I would say the topics are not much better. It's just obviously you don't understand the language to that degree to be able to watch that. Like I tried watching some geopolitics stuff in Chinese, and yeah, there's YouTube channels that deal with that. Of course, most of them are out of Taiwan, or funnily enough, there's like one out of New Zealand or something. But like you can find all of these topics. It's just obviously you're not at that level yet, which means that you can't enjoy it. And that's the sucky suck part. You just got to push through it until you can get to that. Like for me, I try to speed run getting to gaming as fast as possible. It doesn't matter if everything else in the language is like freaking shit. Like if I'm just terrible at having like a daily conversation or, you know, I don't know, like ordering a taxi or something, it doesn't matter. As long as I can get to gaming and I can figure out how to say chimera in freaking Chinese or Esperanto or whatever, that's good. That's fine. Because that's a word I need in order to watch the type of content I do enjoy watching, which is gaming content.
Do you have any tips to change the default coping content to the target language? My roadblocks are that I find a lot of content I get fed in my Korean-only YouTube account to be uninteresting. Couple vlogs, interviewing cooked bachelors, comedians interviewing idols, Korean looks maxing, etc. I tried a YouTube channel.
Obviously, English will always have more content than most of these other languages. Like I've spoken about this before with Chinese, where there's generally a lacking of sci-fi content and, you know, things related to that type of stuff. But if you do search, there is content. Like I've found stuff and I watch it, but the biggest problem for me at the moment is just my own level within the language is not quite there to enjoy it. So what I do is I just watch it anyway and just then grind it. Do a little bit by little bit and keep going back and keep going back. Because, okay, I got a great quote. I got a book of quotes here, guys. So, Jesus Christ. Okay, here's my random book. I write down quotes that I regularly read in the morning to myself to keep me on point with what I'm trying to achieve in my life, okay? So I've literally got a comment about this. I've got, okay, let me just find it. Laziness is the habit of thinking about the cost of things instead of thinking about the outcome. The outcome. Jesus, can't even pronounce English now. And apparently that's attributed to Scott Adams. Now, the reason I wrote down that comment is because every now and then we think, oh man, this is so hard. I need to do another 2 hours. I'm not going to understand anything, blah, blah, blah. And that's essentially laziness because you're just bitching and moaning about the fact that you can't do anything with this thing yet. But that's because you're thinking about the cost of things as opposed to the outcome. The outcome is eventually you will be able to do those things. And I know that's true for myself because I did them all in Esperanto. I went through the whole moaning period like all of you guys and probably like what I've done multiple times on this. Literally, I've got videos where I moan about this in Spanish and freaking Chinese and stuff. But like, I'm literally starting to get to that point, both in Spanish and Chinese, funnily enough, right now, where I can start enjoying the content for the sake of the content. And that is the best feeling in the world. You just need to grind past that laziness point. Stop thinking about the current, this sucks, and go for the whole, well, eventually I'm going to freaking love this because I'm going to get exactly what I want in the end.
That does geopolitical commentary, but it's not as good. And every time I hear a string of transliterated English proper nouns, I feel like what I'm doing is silly. I think a lot of people feel something very similar, including me. This is something that I struggle with too. So first of all, it sounds like you've barely gone past the first layer of Korean YouTube. And the first
Tem muito conteúdo que eu mesmo gosto de ver em português. Mas eu me forço ver em inglês muitas coisas também. Porque eu acho que, se eu não pego o costume de assistir o conteúdo em inglês, eu não vou ter o costume nunca. Então eu tenho que me forçar. Às vezes, né, nem tudo são flores, né? Não é tudo prazer. Faz alguma coisa aqui que você não gosta, mas você acha que vai dar certo e força um pouquinho. Não vai dar errado por causa disso. Não vai te sobrecarregar por causa disso. Lógico que tem limite, né, gente?
first layer of YouTube for most people is always going to suck. Like,
is it the first layer or is it just his level? Like, I think that's probably the most important thing. Because once you get to, like, a better level within a language, you naturally break past this first layer.
Imagine if you just made a brand new English YouTube account. What you would get recommended at first was, like, generic English news, that you probably don't care about, like Mr.
Right.
Beast related content, pop music content,
thank you.
celebrity news garbage. Some people are going to like that stuff, but there's a good chance that if you're finding all these types of content you're describing as like not what you're interested in, there's a good chance that even on default English YouTube, you wouldn't find that interesting either. So you have to kind of dig to find the content that you actually like. So what I think about
É o que eu falo, você tem que achar uma coisa que você gosta. Ah, mas eu não gosto de ver o conteúdo, sei lá, em espanhol porque não é a mesma emoção do português do Brasil. Mano, sempre tem. Você vai achar um conteúdo que é legal, que um canal que é legal, muitos canais que são legais na língua que você quer. Eu achei um, velho, que eu não lembro o nome, mas eu achei um, igual eu achei o Review D, gostei e é isso. Ele vai ser meu exemplo. Eu ia dar um outro exemplo, mas fica nesse aqui mesmo.
it is you don't have to actually do this. You can do this as a thought experiment, but if you go and get on a train in Korea, there's going to be Korean people of all walks of life, you know, all age, riding that train.
That girl's not Korean. Is she Korean? That girl right there with the red headphones.
No Korea.
She's not Korean. Okay, I found the Among Us.
And so there are going to be smart, educated adult men watching YouTube. What are they going to be watching, right? Are they going to be watching these looks maxing videos and like
Some of them will be. I do that every now and then when I'm on the train. I sit there and I do the side eye peek at what people are watching, and you'd be surprised what some people are watching. Like you'll see a businessman, and he's like formally dressed older guy, and what's he watching? He's watching someone who's just like smashing the gym, just working out, whoa, pumping his muscles, and then you look up and down the guy and you're like, oh, he's living through that guy. Come on, mate. If you want to be him, go to the gym, make it happen. I feel like at that moment I should just start, becoming their unwanted assistant in this matter. What was the word I used yesterday? Accountability partner. Jesus Christ, English.
idols doing new workouts? Some of them will, but probably not. They're probably going to be watching some kind of intellectual content where people talking about intellectually stimulating ideas. You just have to go and find what those are, because that's not going to be the default first thing that YouTube recommends to you.
That's actually very good advice. Don't rely on the algorithm slop. It's interesting how we are kind of latching on two different aspects of what is comment. His comment was very dense in a positive sense. So he's latching on to what probably, the kind of YouTube content that you found is not interesting to you. You're going to spend some time. And I would say out of those 30 hours a week, you probably don't need to spend more than 2 hours to really sit down, find the stuff you like for later, save them, and then you can watch them. Maybe even a movie. I enjoy the idea of watching a movie. There's a lot of conversation back and forth. Usually you can turn on subtitles. So movies are great. Movies are fantastic if you are into the movies, that is.
Eu gosto bastante. Eu era uma pessoa que não via tantos filmes, mas ultimamente eu tô vendo bastante filmes e tudo em inglês, entendeu? Eu vi Mortal Kombat em inglês, o novo, né? O 2. Eu não vi o filme do Michael Jackson em inglês, não. Mas eu vi umas animações também, uns filmes de animações em inglês também. Série The Boys, eu tô vendo a última temporada em inglês. Porque me força também praticar, né? Me força a ter esse tempo no conteúdo, ver coisas que eu gosto e ainda por cima ser o idioma que eu quero aprender.
But whatever.
One thing I loved watching a bit earlier in my journey with Chinese was, you know how you see those videos about like, is this a ghost story? Is it not? And it's just like, it's a compilation of, look at this grainy security camera footage as this ghost kind of comes into existence and then disappears. Like, I'm literally an atheist, okay? But I don't know why. I'm just fascinated in all things spiritual or possible spiritual, just because like, I want to know, So I watch this type of stuff. So I just watch it in Chinese because they always talk slowly, clearly, and it's like a little bit spooky, and it's the same type of content. I just literally swap over the language. Like, it exists, it's there. Like, whatever you watch, you will find it in your language, unless of course your language is like absolutely tiny, and then, well, it sucks to be you. But I understand that because literally I'm an Esperanto speaker. Been there, done that.
But for me, instead, the focus would be the loss of time. 30 hours, it's a fantastic slap in the face to wake up when it comes to the idea of people saying, I don't have time. We're focusing on two different aspects of this, which means this is a really good topic of conversation within the language space.
And so you have to go and
But the question is, does he actually want to spend that 30 hours?
Mano, eu me sinto que eu tô numa conversa de bar. Eu e mais 3 pessoas, eu e o Dio, o Matt e o Megatron e Metatron. Uma conversa que É esquizofrenia, talvez, né? Mas eu sinto que eu estou incluído aqui, no mesmo contexto deles.
Or does he like the idea of speaking a language fluently without actually walking the walk? It's like me. I like the idea of me being super buff and fit, okay? But am I prepared to walk that walk? Up until this year, not really. Now, more so. I actually have an inclination to start heading in that direction. Just like kind of expand, my horizons in a way. But at the end of the day, it just comes down to like, do you actually want to do this? Like, if you do, you're just going to do it.
Find out what those are. You shouldn't just try to replicate your English interests in Japanese. You should try to kind of find new interests that are unique to the target language. For me,
I would say start with whatever your interests are and then let it naturally expand out from there. Obviously, don't go like purposely trying to find something that you've never watched before just for the sake of, argument type of thing. I don't think that's what Matt's saying, but like I'm just adding on to it.
like this is some of, like I mentioned, I spent a lot of time watching Japanese YouTube this week when I was sick in bed. And a lot of what I was watching is stuff that I wouldn't watch in English, but I still really like. For example, I have an interest in Japanese literature. I don't really like reading Japanese literature that much, but I like the concepts of Japanese literature. Like I have the intellectual curiosity of like, what do the most famous and like well-regarded Japanese authors write about? What are the topics that have like persisted throughout time? What did they do that made them so famous? Like what did they do with the Japanese language that was unique?
Hey, something I like to do is I've done this a tiny bit in Spanish, more so in Mandarin Chinese, is I like to watch videos about Esperanto in Mandarin Chinese where they talk about, like the history from their country's perspective. Because like sometimes you don't get that content in Esperanto because it's for their local audience and it's trying to convince people to come learn Esperanto. But like I like just watching that type of content.
For example,
It's kind of interesting from an anthropological standpoint. What do the Japanese as a whole find interesting, or when it comes to higher percentages of the population?
I always really liked Murakami Haruki.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't really read him in a long time, although watching these videos have made me want to try reading him again for the first time in many years. I stumbled across a lot of videos of Japanese people talking about Murakami Haruki and discussing what makes him unique and how the topics that he wrote about changed throughout his career. There's lots of people analyzing Murakami Haruki in English, but those people haven't actually read his original writing. And part of what I found so fascinating was the specific way he used the Japanese language. So I want to hear
Like, for example, in Esperanto, I like reading about Moto, which is a religion out of Japan, but they actually, like, Esperanto is part of it's kind of hard to say. It's basically the Latin of their language, of their religion, okay? So they've written a lot of text in Esperanto, but it's about Japanese life. So I like reading that stuff in Esperanto.
Japanese people that actually read it in the original, compare it to other literature written in Japanese.
Oh, by the way, that stuff is translated to English, but I just prefer it in Esperanto because that's what they originally wrote it in.
It's very interesting. For me, I guess it depends. I do tend to watch content both in English and in Japanese or in Mandarin. Like one thing I absolutely love, guys, I love it. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe I need professional help, but I love watching people play horror games, like the Let's Players, but I love doing it in multiple languages because then I learn.
I'm exactly the same. I fucking love horror games in Mandarin Chinese and Spanish. Love it. Bruh, totally.
And expressions that have to do that pertain to the gaming world. Not necessarily only, like I'm not talking about whatever kiting or whatever expression you use in, that it's gaming only, but I am actually talking like a tank, a DPS, glass cannon. I'm not talking.
Por isso que eu gosto de ver os outros jogando Minecraft, velho. Que é um jogo infinito. Se você tiver criatividade, você consegue inventar, reinventar um monte de coisa. E dá pra você fazer historinhas ali. Então eu gosto, velho. E tem alguns outros jogos que dá pra... que eu gosto de assistir também. Igual Terraria, eu acho legal também de assistir. Só que eu sou mais a vibe do Minezinho, né, velho?
Just about that, but I'm talking about expression, like what on earth is happening and stuff like that, but then it's how would they say it, and then I hear a native use it, so I love it. But then again, neither of these languages is my first language, right? So this is probably why we're having this distinction, because of course for Matt versus Japan, English is the first language, but for me it's not. For me it's like my second and third or second and fourth. I'm not trying to flex on the number of languages, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying, would I watch the same stuff in Italian? Probably not. I would not watch.
I guess the question is, do you actually consider, because like you've lived with English so long now, you work with English, you have an English channel, your wife is an English speaker, you live in America. Do you still consider yourself primarily Italian
Sim.
in your thinking or primarily an English speaker in your thinking? Because like,
Não, é. Da onde você tá não muda o quem você é. Nossa, que frase de efeito, hein? Mas, tipo assim, eu sou brasileiro. Se eu estiver morando na Noruega, eu vou continuar sendo brasileiro. Mesmo anos na. Menos que eu, mesmo eu ter passado 20 anos na Noruega, eu continuo sendo brasileiro. Usarei mais o inglês do que o português? Ou o norueguês lá? Que o português? Sim, claro, evidente. Mas continuo sendo brasileiro. Uma coisa não tem nada a ver com a outra.
that does happen. With time, you do change if you spend more time in another language. So maybe this is just a case, like I'm just asking questions randomly out here, but maybe this is a case of where you just, Italian's your heritage, but not really your life.
Players playing horror video games in Italian. Man, I just realized that. This is interesting. This is like therapy for me. Figuring out my...
Eu tenho uma mania, igual, hoje eu fui baixar FC 26. Jogo do FIFA. Só que não. Eu baixei 50 GB para depois descobrir que não roda no Linux. Por causa lá do antivírus dele. Mas enfim, já desinstalei, pá. Mas todos os jogos que eu baixo no idioma inglês. Porque às vezes eu me sinto culpado de colocar no idioma português. É doença da cabeça. Quando eu vou colocar no idioma português, eu falo assim, mas você tá aprendendo inglês, Mário. Coloca em inglês. Que aí você vai aprender melhor. Vai continuar aprendendo até jogando, meu filho. Vai ser mais eficiente. Aí eu sempre mudo pro inglês. Tá ligado? É estranho. É estranho.
my own thought processes.
And hear them talk about their analysis of it, especially people that like do this for a living and can do that at the highest level. Listening to that was really fascinating for me. Some of the analyses I heard of Murakami Haruki, I'd never like thought about those perspectives myself. And another example is, overall, I'm not like the biggest fan in the world of Japanese comedy, but Japanese comedy is actually really broad. And one of the ones that's pretty easy to get into is the subgenre called Ogiri, which is basically a kind of competitive form of Japanese comedy where, I won't go into it too much, but basically someone comes up with a topic, kind of like a question or like a fill in the blank type of sentence. And then a bunch of comedians compete to try to see who can fill in the blank or answer the question in the funniest way possible. And they'll do this like back to back to back. So they'll try to be like, how many unique answers can you squeeze out of one question or one
Kind of sounds like a more sophisticated version of stand-up comedy.
fill in the blank? It's nothing like American comedy, but it's still pretty funny. The longer that you spend in the language, the more you discover these unique things that you like.
Yes.
And then you become invested.
É isso, você tem que descobrir o que você gosta no idioma.
Invested in it. It kind of takes an upfront
E pra você descobrir o que você gosta do idioma, você tem que investir um tempo no idioma. Quanto mais tempo você passar, melhor.
investment to kickstart this process of
Yeah, 100% I agree with that. That was my experience with Esperanto.
finding the things that you're going to like.
I'm starting to get there now with Mandarin Chinese. Obviously, if you've seen my gaming series that I have on this channel where I'm playing World of Warcraft, I don't think I will be doing gaming in English anymore. Just because I just enjoy doing it with other people in Chinese now.
I'm telling you this much. Playing video games like Conan Exile or Valheim and starting to switch them. So I play it in Italian, play it in English, play it in Japanese, play it in Mandarin. I actually got fixated with metals. Like I was already interested in metals when it comes to like medieval armor and weapons or the ancient period and Bronze Age, copper. So it was already something I liked, but it was learning the words in different languages that actually got me to an area of obsession. Like now I actually collect ingots of like pure copper, bronze, all the different alloys, which is once again another weird thing, I suppose. But I did learn how to say these metals in all these languages. So will I ever...
I want to expand on this, okay? Because I've kind of done a similar thing, not with like physically collecting ignots or anything like that, but every now and then, like when I'm playing a game, let's say it's like Chinese and I learn the word for, whatever this material or something is in Chinese, I then instantly think, do I know this in Esperanto? And if, like, for some random reason I don't know it, because obviously it's not something I've had to deal with in the past, I then go and learn it in Esperanto. Because like I feel like, oh, just punched my mic. I feel like everything has to be.
Ó, o vídeo falta ainda mais 13 minutos. Só que já deu meia hora, cara. Vou finalizar por aqui. Vou continuar vendo em off. Mas eu vou finalizar por aqui. Thank you, my friend.